Who is Rei? The real Rei? The Rei we don't know? Well, I can never tell you her hidden secrets, but I can welcome you back to Idol Deep Dive, the show where we take a look at the stories behind our favorite idols and figure out what we can learn from them. And this is the very first episode where you guys chose the group. Before this, I hadn't really watched any behind the scenes IVE content, so it was a whole new world for me. But after my intense research, there was one member whose constant swag, poetic words, and honestly, pretty deep reflections left a real impression on me. So after pouring through videos and exclusive Japanese interviews, which I've translated, I'd like to share the results of my deep dive on Rei. And Rei brings a decidedly different perspective to the group. Not only is she the sole foreign member in IVE, which gives her a unique connection to an entire country, but she's one of the very few K-pop idols to be an INFJ, and even has her own YouTube show. So it begs the question, how did she get to where she is now? Well, let's dive in. It's time to follow Rei back to the very beginning. Rei was born on February 3rd, 2004, her hometown being Nagoya, Japan. This is a case where music ran in the family's DNA. In fact, K-pop did. Since when I was a child, my mom let me listen to all sorts of genres. I was told that when I was a baby, I had a response to the rhythm of raps. My mom especially listened to TVXQ Sunbaenim a lot. One fateful day, her mom's K-pop craze truly touched Rei's heart when they both went to a Red Velvet concert.
레드벨벳 선배님이 나온 순간 반짝반짝 빛나시는 거예요. 그래서 나도 이렇게 느낀 감정을 누군가한테 뭔가 꿈과 희망을 줄 수 있는 사람이 되고 싶다.
Pursuing that wish and becoming the rapper of her dreams, Rei went to the Starship auditions in Japan and passed. And guess what song she auditioned with? That's right, she danced to Red Velvet's Happiness. Because, of course. She began to study Korean and came to Korea when she was just 15 years old. And that's shocking. 15 years old, going to a school in a country where you're still studying the language, and that far from your family? What's more, Rei was far from an extrovert. There was one time when I woke up before my mother, but I felt bad telling her that I'd woken up. So I spent 4 hours just staring at the ceiling. That's how careful I was about every word I spoke. So it's only natural she had a couple worries on her mind living in another country.
저 진짜 솔직하게 얘기해도 돼요? 저 약간 학교 갈 때 진짜 완따 당할까 봐 엄청 걱정했어요. 무서웠는데 괜찮더라고요. 친구도 금방 생겼어요.
But even in the case she needed emergency backup, Rei had one other trump card she could rely on.
레이는 왜 나비가 좋아? 엄마가 일단 좋아하기도 했고 또 나비가 레이를 지켜줄 거야 하면서 항상 네가 옆에서 엄마처럼 날 지켜줄 거야 이렇게 계속 말씀해 주셔가지고 쭉 좋아해 왔어요.
So if you see some butterflies hanging out around IVE, you better be on your best behavior.
Butterfly, it's me.
And Rei's Korean abilities improved dramatically, to the point many dives would know that she's referred to as Kim Rei by her members. How did that happen? I came to Korea when I was 15, and I really felt like I was improving at Korean every day. By spending time with the members and going to school, my language learning abilities improved. There's this short web drama called 18 that became popular in both Korea and Japan. Because it's mostly aimed at young people, I was able to study the most recent vocabulary and culture of people my age. Fun fact, she actually chose to go to the High School of Performing Arts, or SOPA, because her role model Joy from Red Velvet went there. She's us for real. But of course, debut is never guaranteed. Rei still had doubts whether she could make it. So one day, she went to a fortune teller in Hongdae and asked whether or not she'd become the idol of her dreams. And sure enough, she made it. But something might still not make sense if you're following this. Rei had a sort of shy persona up to this point. But if you see any footage of her these days, well, it's sort of the opposite. How did Rei transition from the girl careful of every word she said to the confident rapping icon she is today? And most importantly, how does she view this change herself? We can uncover all the answers and more with 4 butterfly-shaped bullet points. The first one, complete family support. No one can make leaps across oceans completely alone, but I guess having a mom who's a stan is helpful, because Rei's mom sure made it easier. She regularly sends care packages filled with different noodles you can only get in Japan, for a little taste of home. You know who's an even bigger stan than her mom? Grandpa. Her Oji-san has framed pictures of her performing and IVE posters decorating his house. In her vlog, he even gave her a bouquet. No dive can claim to be a bigger stan than that. But that doesn't change the fact that she can't see them without taking a plane ride back home to Nagoya. So that brings us to our second butterfly bullet point, the members. We've already covered how as a trainee, the IVE members were integral to her learning Korean. But soon enough, they became like a family. All the members take naps together and help wake each other up when we have to get up. While overcoming challenges, our relationships have become something like a family. The members have said I'm in charge of healing, so I'm happy that I'm being helpful to everyone. IVE didn't just give her the support she needed, but she gave them support too. Now, I'm not really one to talk about pairings, but I found an especially strong example of this between Rei and Yujin. Rei really looks up to Yujin. She genuinely finds her to be a charismatic and hardworking leader. Likewise, Yujin cherishes Rei's sweet manner of speaking. It's ironic that Yujin would learn how to speak from Rei, but it's true. They teach each other. Yeah, they're totally dating.
나 언니랑 있고 싶은데. 어제 야키니쿠 먹고 싶다.
어디가 있어?
언니 먹고 싶어. 나 포기할 수 있어. 그 쇼핑 안 해도 돼 사실.
Wow.
Now that's what I call a healthy relationship. Now the bullet points we've covered so far have certainly helped explain how Rei was able to turn Korea into a home. But that isn't enough to fundamentally change someone. That's where we need to look at the third and fourth. We need to talk about group assimilation. Okay, it's not that scary. Think about IVE. What sort of concepts do they have? That's right, IVE is all about confidence. It's about owning what you have. I mean, it's in the name. And this attitude has rubbed off on Rei. Don't believe me? How about she tells you herself? But I'm actually not that kind of person. I used to be shy, but I feel that I'm gradually changing. When I listen to a song like Royal, my mood naturally improves, and so does my confidence. I feel like I'm assimilating with IVE without even realizing it. So there you have it. The image of IVE Rei seems to be influencing Naoi Rei. The confident rapper, rapping confident lyrics, slowly becomes closer to her real self every comeback. But it's gradual. The fact she's a celebrity didn't even really register until recently.
제가 어릴 때 아티스트분의 그런 무대하는 모습을 보고 꿈꾸게 됐는데 이제 그 자리에 내가 있으니까 무대 위에 진짜 믿기지가 않은 거예요. 내가 연예인이구나. 이렇게 갑자기 생각하게 됐어요.
But she's learning to own this new way of living where her dreams have come true. Even the lyrics she writes on songs like Royal or Hypnosis reflect this newfound confident persona. IVE is a part of who she is. It reinforces her. It has become her strength. When we're feeling down, we try to look at videos of our past stages and remember our fluttering excitement and positive feelings. That way, the negative feelings fade away. Of course, doing this work, there are times I feel sad, but I'm trying to hold on to the unwavering feelings in my heart. I guess it's a battle with myself. During those times, I read letters and comments from Dive, think of my family, and search for things that make me happy as a way to try and overcome that ordeal. Last but not least, the final secret ingredient to Rei's metamorphosis, her newfound ability to share her own aesthetic. This manifests in so many ways, it's impossible to name them all, but I'll try. Have you checked out Rei's Instagram? Her posts look like they've been ripped straight out of a Pinterest mood board. A PictoChat callback? Bibble? Sure. Or if you've ever watched her show Follow Rei, you probably are aware of her immense affinity for recommending all sorts of cute, nifty, niche businesses. I mean, she tells you to go there yourself, like, it's called Follow Rei for a reason. Or her absolute joy in making unconventional sentences that could really only come out of her mouth.
꼬찌꼬찌 깨물어 보겠습니다. 약간 내 이상형이랑 가까운 것 같아. 밥도 잘 먹고 많이 먹고 진짜 집중합니다. 평생 혼자 살 거야. 평생 하나도 없어. 이제 뻥.
I mean, she's literally an artist and was able to share the portrait of her ultimate bias with her ultimate bias. Not bad. I even see the term Rei core being thrown around. Listen to this quote from Vogue Japan. I think my individuality is something unique. I want to lead a life where I can share little plays on words and poses, or music that people can hear and think, Rei made this music, huh? Rei seems to absolutely revel in her ability to finally give others those electric feelings that brought her on the path of an idol in the first place, through her aesthetic and her own signature Rei twists. Just like how the Red Velvet concert gave her inspiration, she's finally letting loose and giving inspiration to others. That's still something that's setting in day by day. At that concert in Nagoya, her hometown, where she finally processed that she was a celebrity, her parents were watching in the audience. Which means that, in a way, years after going to the Red Velvet one, Rei and her mom were able to attend a concert together once more. Just in a very different way, with a very different Rei.
저희 어머님께서 얘기해 주시는 게 너를 좋아해주는 사람은 있는 것도 감사한데 너의 그런 매력들을 알아봐주고 내 노력까지 알아봐주고 그게 진짜 되게 행복한 일이라고 그러더라고요. 진짜 그런 것 같아요. 항상 감사하다고도 맨날 말하는데 질리도록 진짜 말하는데 너무 고마운 것 같아요.
Wow, so how was that? Thank you guys for voting IVE. Exploring them has been an absolute joy. I'm glad I could follow Rei's journey. With how much she's evolved, maybe she really is a butterfly. But like always, it's on to the next idol. Oh, and let me know what you thought of my avatar. Like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys then. Wonyoung!